Millions of Americans are carrying student loan debt, and millions more will be carrying student loan debt over the next few years. And all things about student loan debt changed on July the 1st. So Betsy Mayotte, excuse me, with the Institute of Student Loan Advisors is joining us to help explain what happened. All right, so July 1st, all the things changed for those who are about to get their student loans and people who already have their student loans. So let's start with the new people who are going to be getting student loans for the first time.
Yeah, so for people that are borrowing for the first time, two things have changed. The amount you can borrow, especially if you're a graduate student or say someone in medical or law school, it used to be your borrowing limit was sort of unlimited. But now if you're a graduate student, it's only 20,500 a year. And if you're in like a medical program or a law school program, it's 50,000 a year. Also, the amount of payment plans you'll have at your disposal once you're out of school has been significantly reduced. Current borrowers have 7 or 8. You're going to have 2.
Right. And so this really impacts those who may be getting also to graduate degrees and things of that nature, where they only get so much money for those graduate degrees.
Right. So graduate degrees, they used to be able to get what we call the graduate plus loan, and that was you could borrow up to the cost of attendance, and there was no limit on how much you could borrow. And now you're limited to 20,500 a year, with a maximum of $100,000 for your graduate degree.
Yeah, and so this is something that like parents and kids need to keep in mind when they're selecting their school, when they're selecting their degree, because they're going to have to find other ways to get funding.
That's right. So there's sort of an additional step in my mind now for families that are trying to plan for college. I think a lot of families, they're like, all right, we're going to figure out how to pay for this year, worry about next year, next year. Can't do that anymore because of these new limits. You need to calculate how much you're going to need to borrow for the full degree. And if it's beyond the new federal limits, you're going to have to try to find a way to pay for the rest of it.
All right, and that means private loans or something else.
It could mean private loans. It could mean going to a less expensive school. One tip is have the student go to a lower cost school for the first 2 years, say like your local community or state college, and then transfer into the dream school later. Keeps the borrowing down overall and preserves the amount that you're allowed under the federal programs.
Do you think that this will put pressure on schools and universities, though, to lower their tuition rates?
I think Congress thinks so. Whether that is what happens remains to be seen. What I'm afraid of, and the unofficial chatter I'm hearing, is I think we're more likely to see some colleges drop programs that just aren't going to be affordable to most people with these new federal limits.
And that may change the scope of what people go to school for and what people do in years to come. Okay, let's talk about those who already have their loans. They've been paying on their loans. Maybe they had the SAVE plan. There's 7 or 8 million of those people out there. They now have few options.
Well, as long as they don't borrow on or after July 1st or consolidate after that date, today, their options remain the same. But there are 2 plans that are going away in 2028, the pay-as-you-earn plan and income contingent repayment. But for right this second, those borrowers have the same plans today that they had last week, plus a new plan called the RAP plan, which is another plan that's based on income.
All right, and so folks who have a loan are supposed to be getting either an email or a letter in the mail that talks about how you're supposed to change things within the next 90 days or so.
Yeah, so that applies to the 7 million or so borrowers that have been in save limbo, or as we like to call it, the save malaise for the past 2 years. That's ending. So sometime between last week and I believe March, you're going to get a letter, and in that letter, you're going to be given 90 days where you have to switch plans. There's a lot of people today are saying, well, where's my letter? Not all the letters were going out on July 1st, and July 1st was never the deadline. They're staggering them, so not everybody is applying for a new plan at once.
All right, and so student loans, student debt, it's always a complicated issue. What do people do when they're like, we have questions and we can't get through to the school, or we can't get through to so-and-so?
Right. So the first place you should go is your loan servicer. They're going to be best equipped to answer questions about your specific loans. But if you want to reach out to someone else, there's organizations like ours the Institute of Student Loan Advisors, or TISLA, that offers free student loan advice via email to anybody who needs it.
And you are answering hundreds and hundreds upon emails.
Yes, we are. We are very busy bees these days.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for your time and your expertise. This is going to help people down the road for sure. If you missed this, maybe you need to send this to someone who has a student loan or is about to go to college and get those student loans. This is going to be in the Two Wants to Know section of our website. Right now, we're going to take a quick break and look at the forecast.